It's the place you go when you finish your show. We're your two best friends. Our names are Max and Ben. We're self-proclaimed television experts. It's Reality Alert. And that's right. No boo tomatoes here. We are live with Jordan Staff from The Circle Season 6. Jordan, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I've been on a little bender this weekend, but I'm here now, and I'm excited to clear up my game a little bit.
Yes.
Good. Yes. Many unanswered questions.
Oh, a lot. I mean, and when I saw everything on Twitter, I was so confused. And then I started watching the episodes, and I was like, oh, I fucking hate me too. Like,
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you through this interview, you can learn to love yourself again, Jordan.
Oh,
yes.
That's what we want.
So much insecurity and so much self-hatred. Be the confident version I know I can be.
Were you expecting to get a Heroes edit?
Absolutely not. No, like no fucking way. When I was in there, I knew like the way I was playing the game was very villain-esque, but I thought there would.
Well, I mean, by circle standards, it's like.
Right? I just thought there would be a little more context, but obviously, like everything can't be in there, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start from the beginning so we can really break everything down. So, how did you get on the circle? Like, what made you decide to apply? When did you first apply? Let's start from the beginning. How did this all break down?
I'm like a huge fan of all the reality shows, like Big Brother, Survivor, The Traitors, like literally all of them. That's like what I eat, like breathe, like all of it. So originally Big Brother was like the show I really, really wanted to do, but I applied a couple times, never got a call. And then when I actually started thinking about it, I was like 3 months. Like that takes a different kind of person. And then I had always heard about like the Circle in the UK and so many people talking about it, but I never knew where to watch it. But once I watched it, Season 1 was fun, but once I saw that there was like a strategy that could like really be built around the show and just I felt like I could play the game in a way it wasn't played before. So that's why I wanted to do it, right? Like Big Brother, Survivor, there's so many ways to play the game and it's already been done, but I felt like with the Circle, I could try to do something that was a little different that would just be more fun, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I applied in 2021, got far in the casting process, didn't get on. And then when I thought the show was done, like I saw on Twitter, they were like getting rid of the apartments in the UK. And then I saw they were casting again. So I was like, absolutely. And thank God it worked out because I had a blast and I'm ready to talk about it.
Awesome. Do you feel that you played the game differently than it had played before? And how do you feel? Do you feel like you accomplished what you set out to accomplish?
100%. I mean, I think that's the thing with Netflix too, is like, it's kind of like a different audience. I don't think the backlash would have been as strong if I was doing this like on Survivor. Like you have fucking Johnny Fairplay who was lying about his grandmother like dying. And I know that was really controversial at the time, but I feel like if something like that happened now on a different network, it wouldn't be as seen as like such a big deal. So the show, like I had a blast. I don't regret anything. And I do think I played it in a way that wasn't played before. Like I can't wait to talk about my endgame strategy because that's something they really left out. And I felt like it was very nuanced.
Yes. And we will get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I will say watching your game, I did feel like I could tell you were like a Survivor Big Brother fan because
100%.
you played an aggressive style of gameplay that you don't really see too much in the Circle. You do see it. I think we see it a lot more in Survivor of just go pedal to the metal. And then what I always saw from you in this season, and we'll get into this a little more down the stretch here, but just every time a door closed, you just search for another avenue and go that direction, which to me is very like, that's very Tony Vlacho's style of gameplay in Survivor, you know, where it's like, you just try every single avenue you can.
Oh, 100%. I mean, just being like a super fan, like I wasn't going to fucking, get upset and like fucking lay down and die in the game. Like I was going to do everything I could to try to win the game because I didn't care about making it to the next episode. That's why I'm like playing so aggressive. It was like, I was playing to win. So if I go out, who cares? Like I'm just here to play the game and win the game. So that's why it was like, every time something went wrong, I was just like, okay, how can I be adaptable here? Because I feel like if you're not adaptable in any of these games, that's it. You just get shut down and out so fast. So
Well, and I feel like you read the room pretty good right away in knowing that Miles was the guy at the center
right,
of everything right off the start. So I think that was a good read. You know, a lot of people will say it might have been the death of you in this game, but
right.
at the same time, you know, you made the correct read going right into the game.
Right. And I think there is like a misconception, which that I was just fucking like gun ho after Miles the second I got there. That's not what happened at all. Like in my first ratings, whenever I rate Miles in fourth, it kind of makes it seem like, oh, I just met this guy and now I want him out. But that's not what the fuck I was doing at all. Like what I was actually doing there is in our first circle chat, and mind you, all the chats are like really cut down so you don't see everything. But in our first circle chat, once I got into the circle, I saw how like middle of a game QT was playing. So I wanted to see what she would do in power, especially because I had already had a conversation with Miles and I had figured out how he would play that game. Going into that first rating, I put him low so he wouldn't be an influencer. I wasn't trying to get him out, right? And I think another thing about Miles's game that was so good, and people are like, oh, well, he wasn't even like at the top a lot. Olivia wasn't at the top a lot. Like that's the perfect game in the circle is riding the middle because that's how you get enough high votes at the end to win the game. And I think people just kind of look at it too one-dimensionally at times, the circle. And I think that's just because like that's kind of how the game is. It is a little one-dimensional at times, if that makes sense.
It's the end game certainly is still a mystery, I think, to everybody.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
how do you
100%.
really win the circle? I don't think no one can write like a Boston Robs rule book
Right.
for how to win the circle because it's a weird ending and a weird game. And a lot of people have suggested the ending of the circle specifically changing in some
Oh
way.
my God,
shape,
what
or
would y'all
form.
think? What do y'all think how they should do it?
People say I kind of like it how it is. I kind of like that it's like unique and kind of wacky. I think
Right.
that Brandon actually did the best strategy, made the most active move going into the finals that we've seen. By eliminating Miles, he gave himself basically close to a 50 to 75% chance of winning.
100%.
So we
Yeah.
actually saw somebody actively give himself a good chance going into the finals and made the final interesting. So I've always been okay with the final. I like that the circle is weird. I don't know.
think the final is good if the casting is good. I think the final will be strategic if the casting is strategic. I think the final will be heartfelt voting of who we like the most if that's the type of people you're casting. So I think it depends. That's why each season is so different of the circle, because sometimes you end up with a final six, just like season one, where it's like all these buddies together in the end, and Joey gets the vote, you know, or with Frank, or you know, some of these seasons where the casting it works out in this way, versus seasons 2, 3, your season, where I think there were a lot more game players casted in the circle.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if we had like a quick minute to like just like explain our game like before we do our final ratings. But I also feel like that could fuck people over too, especially if you're playing as like a catfish. You know what I mean? Like imagine if Brandon's out here and he's like, y'all thought I've been playing emotionally, but really I've been doing whatever the fuck I want. That's best for my game. And then it's like, well, fuck, now I'm scared to rate you high. So I do agree that I think it is good. And I definitely agree that it depends on the cast because 100% the outcome is always going to vary depending on who's playing the game. And I think that I agree with y'all that I think that's what's good about the ending of the circle.
Yeah. At this point, I just think you can't just say, well, let's just do it Survivor and
Right,
do a jury. Like
100%.
you also need kind of a bigger cast for that too.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. I think with if there is a jury, I feel like it would always lean towards the catfish because it's not about being the best catfish, right? But when Brandon walked out on the stage, let me fucking tell you, I was like, oh, it's game over. Like I felt so played in that moment. And I feel like if there was a jury that was kind of like voting, if someone played like a really good catfish, I feel like it was game over.
Because he played a good catfish and you liked him too, right?
Oh,
it was like there were no hard feelings and he played you. It's like if it was a jury moment, it's like, oh, well, we're going to vote for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Alex Lake from season 1 in the chat. He says, "I truly believe I would have played more like Big J if my season wasn't so we're a big family type of season."
See,
Yeah,
I can't fuck with that. Like listen, I when you're on the circle, right? I feel like games like Big Brother is a little different because you're spending so much time with these people, you're living with them, you really like connect with them. But on the circle, from my point of view, everyone was a photo and words on a screen. Like, what am I connecting with? What? How are we a family? Like, this is like I'm
yeah.
character in my head. Like, what? Absolutely not.
Sorry, that's how I feel like when I'm working a job and everyone's like, "We're a big family," and I'm like, "This is a job. You're not my family. We
You're
can
paying
be
me. Give me
we can
money.
be very good friends, guys, but this is a restaurant. We just party together after work, okay?"
Yeah.
No, I agree 100%. And I'm sure people are gonna be like, "Fuck Big J" for that because like that's the thing about the circle too. Listen, love the fans. Don't drag me anymore. I've gone through enough. But season one, like the whole concept of season one really was about like people making genuine connections. And that's kind of like what the series was like based on. So I get why people want that. But every show has an evolution, right? And you can't have that every season. It's just going to get more and more boring. And I feel like
boo tomato, boo tomato, boo tomato, boo tomato.
oh god, I cringed when I watched myself doing that because I was so angry.
So mad. I've never seen somebody genuine. I've never heard anybody say "boo tomato," but you
Right, I
saying
was
it.
so
No,
angry. I was like, I can't watch this.
Hey,
was
it's
so
an
eager.
instant classic.
yes,
It's
we will be
it lives
playing
on our
that on this
soundboard forever now.
podcast. Every show we cover, we will play that. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I was literally cringing so hard when I watched that. Like so unserious.
okay, so we have to talk about Big J. When did
Yeah.
you was this your idea? Were you always going to be Big J? When did the Big J thing come into play?
Right. That was always like my concept. So originally, fun fact, I had lost all my weight because I wanted to do Big Brother. And I was like, I have
That's
a video
amazing.
when I'm like 17 being like, hey, I'm about to lose all this weight. That way I can be hanging on the fucking wall and like, but when I really thought about when the circle started casting, I was like, what could I do here? Like what that's the other thing with the circle is you also have to think about like casting, like what's going to help you be interesting, right? And not only did I feel like that was something really unique, but I also felt like it was a solid fucking game plan. Like, because my pictures now, if you look at my Instagram, I'm a photographer, bro. Like, I look douchey in every fucking photo, and I'm self-aware about that, right? And I was always like, if I go into the circle, there's a lot of room for error with that. But if I use my old photos, like, who the fuck isn't gonna love Big J? And clearly, some people did it. Kyle, love you, but he was not fucking with me.
When you first enter the circle, you say, "I am here to be messy and turn people against each other," and you also say, "This is strictly a game."
Yeah.
And was this 100% your strategy just to turn people against each other, or was it also your strategy to be liked? Because it's such a big part of the circle that people play because it's a popularity contest.
Right.
But we mainly just saw on the show you kind of just turning people against each other, Jordan. Did you want to be liked?
No, so I can't wait to talk about my end game because in my end game, I did not want to be liked. And I had this whole plan that it didn't wasn't shown, but I can't wait to talk about that because people
You went with the
in my comments being like, it's a popularity contest. What were you doing? And I was like, I had a strategy there, but we'll get to that.
But in the beginning, did you want to be liked?
Yes, but it's also when you go into the middle of the game, your strategy completely has to shift, right? Because you only have so much time to talk to people. If I came in at the beginning of the game, I would have wasted my chats on like, being like, hey, where are you from? Like, oh, like really connecting with people. But when you come in with the middle, it's like, it's about like demolishing what exists and then trying to rebuild that. And that's what I was trying to do. If I wanted a shot at winning, there was no way I was going to go against like a trio and the pairs. Like there was too much going on. So I was absolutely just trying to fuck shit up.
It wasn't like there was a clear division too in this.
Right, exactly.
You could very easily just say, I'm going to hop on this side or hop on this side.
Right, absolutely.
We talked about this. James came in, I think, at a similar time than you and played differently, but there were two divisions. He kind of came in at a different place where it was easy for him to slide in.
Side, yeah.
So you have this chat with Miles. The players send you these messages. You end up picking young Poppy Fuego because he says he has some fire goss, and he was doomed deciding the last blocking, but I'm guessing it was the fire goss.
Yeah.
Why do you end up hating Miles so much?
Let's talk about it.
Why do you hate America's hero, Daddy
Let's talk about
Miles?
He's America's sweetheart. Come on.
So
Daddy the Rizzler Miles.
The Rizzler. So when I saw Miles's bio, first of all, I saw he was an AI engineer. I was like, okay, this guy's smart. Sounds like he's a gamer, right? And everything, like, hindsight is always like 2020, right? But whenever I was in the circle, you're kind of just creating a character out of someone in your head. Like, people forget that I don't see his room and how he's acting and how his mannerisms are. But in our first chat, when he sent that first message, I was like, oh, okay, let's talk. And then he had like sent another message that was something like, oh, hopefully you're a photographer. Hopefully you can make me look good or something like that. And then everything got really bro-y after that. So in my head, I was like, oh, he's trying to manipulate me. But that's not what Miles was doing. Like, Miles is just like a nice guy, but everything's out of context in there.
Right.
But then he had told me,
you're reading it like, oh, you're a photographer, huh? You're gonna make it look good, huh? That's the voice that you're hearing in your head.
I think I even replied with like, oh, with a smile like that, you won't need much help. And my producers were like, oh, is this a little flirt, man? And I was like, absolutely not. What the fuck is happening here? But most importantly, he had told me, and I don't think this made the air, he had told me that he had just had this issue with Cassie, right? And I kind of like sat on that. I was like, okay, there's like a division right here. This might be a good way for me to try to like pivot myself in and start stirring shit up. So that's why I knew like Miles was my initial target. Because when I talked to everyone else, I wasn't getting much information, but I did have a little information there that I felt like could help me shift the game, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But why do you hate him so much?
I fucking hate how good his style is. Like, I just hate how good he is with his words.
How are you and Miles now?
I'm jealous.
How are you guys now? Are you okay?
Oh, we're fucking great. Like, that's the thing. People forget. I mean, it could have went really bad, right? Like, thank God everyone on my cast understood it was a game. But like 3 weeks after we filmed, I went and stayed at his house, chilled with him, QT, Steffi. We went out to the clubs. Like, everything is great. But it definitely could have went bad. And I would have understood if it went bad. Like, I was targeting this man. Like, I took away $100,000 from him. But thankfully, everyone on our cast understood it was a game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what usually happens. We never really, I mean, like, you had season 3 with everybody going against each other. Yeah. Everyone on the internet assumed that they were all like in like a real war, and then like we interviewed all of them and they were all like best buds, you know? It's kind of,
but also everyone on the internet is stupid.
Is insane.
Listen, I've gotten voicemails, so I'm not gonna we can go past that.
We'll take the heat for you, don't worry.
Yeah, 100%.
That's cool.
Yeah, we get it too, but not as bad as you. Can we ask you about Cassie's infamous vote? When you watch,
Sixth place is your least favorite. I think of this time going in, I'm going to flip-flop it. The person who I would typically... All
right, you get the point.
Yeah, we just want a straightforward game analysis.
So much.
That's, you know.
Yeah, what is your analysis of the flip?
Yeah.
Listen, I think she had the right... What's the word I'm trying to say? She had the right idea, the wrong concept. I think what she was like thinking was like... I think what she was thinking is like, oh, maybe I should rate the people that have a lot of power at the bottom. That way that helps me get to the top.
But she didn't do that.
And your enemy's at the top.
I should put Kyle at the top because then he'll vote me out.
No,
Oh, wait.
I love Cassie.
We love her. It was so we can't get over it. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
we
good.
love her. It's no malice. We just thought it was the funniest thing we've ever seen.
No, it was great TV to say the least.
Yeah, it's so funny. Okay. So the next big thing that happens is episode 7. You are made ride or dies with QT. Was there anybody else you would have rather been ride or dies with? And who would you have hated to be ride or dies with besides Miles?
Oh, shit. I was really happy that I was with QT, even though, like, I said it multiple times that, like, QT was my biggest threat in this game. So that's why when I came in at that point, I was like, oh, this is going to be beneficial because she's so well liked. This is really going to help me out. But I also knew, like, depending on how long this rides out, no way I'm going to be able to, like, take my aim off of Miles and put it on her. But who would I have not wanted to be paired off with? Probably Autumn. Listen,
Yeah,
Autumn's
I mean, that would have
great,
been a
but
decent. Well, apparently not, but eventually, yeah.
yeah, she got crumbled. She got crumbled, and that would have been bad if I was with her. We would have both been out.
I mean, her game probably would have been better if she had ended up with you.
I don't know. Not if people started.
I mean, I don't. You wouldn't have thrown her under the bus
yeah.
like Lauren
Oh,
did.
true. That's valid. That's valid.
At least I hope not. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Lauren, I still don't know what Lauren was doing there. Like, bless her. Listen, if Lauren was on season one,
it was confusing.
she
It was
would've
confusing to
fucking-
watch. Yeah.
Oh, Lauren would have steamrolled through season one. Like, let's be real on that. She was just playing season one, and everyone else was playing season 6. But
Okay, strategy queen.
She's a strategy queen. Okay, she was outplaying herself.
no, she was the strategy queen if this was season one. That's for sure.
I think she was just like
really-
she was so genuinely herself, but you guys were all playing strategically that you were like, "What's her game?" And she just
Exactly.
wasn't playing one.
She was more
Oh
of a
my God, I
vibe
remember the
queen.
second I got there, everyone was like talking shit about Lauren. Like I was like, wait,
Really?
what's happening? But no, if she was on season one, I swear to God, she would have been influencer so many times. Like, there's just no way she wouldn't have excelled. And really,
Yeah.
she just got thrown in to a bad season for her, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and the whole
agree.
thing with the AI kind of, I feel like, put her a step back, just because that was like her number one ally. Was the,
I know, and that's like, you can't even like help that either. Like, how would you have fucking known?
yeah. Then it's like you're starting from square
Yeah,
one halfway through the
100%.
game. So
Did you propose anyone else being the target to QT when you guys were ride or dies? Because I know you decided to make Lauren the target. Was there anybody else that you thought about targeting?
Wait, well, wait, what did you say? I didn't
So
make
when
one-
you and QT were ride or dies,
Okay.
I think that we see you guys. We see everybody have a chat. Like
Okay.
right when you guys are ride or dies, like you and
Okay,
QT
yeah.
are putting a chat together. I think you decide that you're going to target Lauren, right? Is that what we see?
Oh, no, that wasn't. So that conversation was actually like a 45-minute conversation. But I guess because they were doing so many of those conversations at the same time, they really had to shut it down. But me and QT had a very similar strategy in that conversation where we were like giving a little bit of information to get some back. So I don't think I was trying to like target Lauren. I know she was. I was just trying to get information on what everyone
Okay.
thought about everyone in the circle.
Okay,
I
I think my impression was that she said Lauren, and you were like, okay, but that's just kind of what it came off as,
Yeah,
you know.
that
I'm
wasn't-
sure you were doing the good thing, where you don't say like no, totally. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't my intention for sure. Because Lauren was someone that I felt like was going to naturally connect with like me and the game. So I was just waiting until I got a chance to talk to her because I knew I could win her over real quick.
Yeah. So at the top of episode 8, you tell Olivia that Miles flirted with you. You also try this strategy with Autumn, I think. Maybe one other person, maybe that's it. What was your thought process behind this? And when Olivia barely reacted to this, did you suspect she might be Miles' ride or die?
Yeah, was that? I don't know. Was that before or after the ride or die game? Like the
this was when Autumn got piled on.
Yeah, this was before.
The way it was shown to us, it was before.
Okay, yeah. So my whole strategy with that, and people don't like it, but I don't give a fuck, to be honest. Like, I was just playing the game for myself. I didn't know if these people were real people. I was doing whatever I wanted to try to win the game, right?
Yes.
So I was literally, like I said in the episode, I was just trying to make it seem like Miles was manipulating everyone. That's all it was to it. But yes, when I realized Olivia was protecting Miles, I thought maybe they are ride or dies, which that's why I was like, this is just going to make shit so much harder. Going to the game, though, everyone that I've talked to on the season, we all had kind of like pieced together who everyone's ride or dies was, except Lauren. Because when Lauren fucking called out Autumn, it ruined it for everyone. Like, it messed up all of our like attachments that we had put together.
that's
Yeah.
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 Love you, Lauren.
Yeah. So we get to the circle scenarios game right after this, and this is the game where everybody piles on Autumn. Early in the game, you and Kyle take shots at each other, but eventually Autumn just gets all of the attention. What was that like? And so during this game, was this when you were kind of deciphering who was ride or dies with each other?
100%. Like, I think everyone all had the same like list of who we thought everyone was paired up to. Like, after we talked after the show. but Lauren calling out Autumn screwed that up. I thought Lauren was with Paul and Autumn was with Kyle. I think that's what I had put together, pieced off that. But no, that was crazy. Poor Autumn.
I feel like it would have been so obvious who everybody's ride or dies were if it wasn't for Lauren.
100%. 100%.
This game was just to reveal them, which I thought was kind of weird too.
Yeah, when I was there, it was so funny. I'm glad they didn't show it because I was in my kitchen. I was like, I think I figured it out. I think I've got it figured out. I was so excited. I was so wrong.
So we get to the ratings where we learn that the bottom rated player and the ride or die will be blocked from the circle. This ends up being Paul and Kyle. Can you please explain to us how it ended up being Paul and Kyle when the target was so obviously Autumn? Now, we see that you rated Olivia number 4 and Miles number 7, but we found the other ratings. I have them all here that we were shown on the show.
Okay.
It was very confusing as a viewer. You guys probably talked about it. How did this happen?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember where I put Kyle at in that rating. I honestly don't even remember my ratings, but that was definitely shocking. Like, I thought Autumn was done there. I 100% thought Autumn was done. I don't know that we honestly didn't talk about that. And that is
what the fuck? This was the craziest one.
Yeah, I know. But it's like once you get out of the circle and then like you're just talking about like the most stuff. But no, I don't remember my ratings in that one at all. I do remember like Miles in 7th. Oh, I think I put Paul in 6th, to be honest, because when I got there, Paul
why?
In the chat, like, well, I had already heard bad things about Paul. And then we're in the circle chat, and it wasn't in the show, but Paul said something like, hey, guys, welcome to the circle. Just remember, like, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And I'm like, what the fuck? No, like, welcome to the circle. What's happening? So I definitely put Paul low in that. But I don't know where everyone else put them. So I'm not sure.
It's just interesting because we see that Kyle rates Autumn number 5. We see Autumn rates Paul number 7. Paul rates Lauren number 7. Lauren rates Olivia number 7. Olivia rates Autumn number 7. We kind of see like all these different people towards the end, but we don't see who puts Paul and Kyle towards the bottom.
Sure.
So I'm like, who was targeting them? Why weren't Miles and QT kind of protecting them? I think that through these exit interviews, we'll have to kind of decipher it. You know,
I mean, I think we can assume that Paul was the one in 7th, right? There was no.
I don't think it was Kyle.
Yeah. So I'm not. Maybe Kyle or Paul just had enough low-ish numbers.
Yeah.
Whereas like maybe the other ones kind of helped balance everyone else out. I'm not sure. And that's the other thing is we didn't get to see. That was the other annoying part about the circle for me. My experience in there is there was only one rating where I got to see where I stood in there. All the other ratings were like hidden. It made it really difficult to navigate.
Where you came in,
yeah, it made it really difficult to navigate.
In episode 9, in the circle chat after Cress's goodbye message, this is where you have the moment where you tell everyone in the circle that you were hurt by something that someone said/did. This is where you tell us you hope everyone is going through their notes to see who hurt Big J.
Right.
It was Kyle. We then see everybody flipping through their notes looking. This was a great moment. Did you have similar moments to this that we didn't get to see? Kind of like meta
Oh
moments?
my God, 100%. And here's the funny thing about Kyle is Kyle really played me because I was really trying to work with this man. Like our first conversation we had, it was so good. Like we were talking about our family and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, me and Kyle, we're fucking awesome. And then we played that game and he threw me under the bus. And like, I don't know, when you're in there, I was so mad. And looking back, I was like, well, he did do the right thing by saying me. But God, I don't know. I feel like it was like every time I was sending a message, I was trying to like play the game. Like, especially at the very end, like in our last circle chat, when we're about to go to finale, I kept saying like, I have no shot at winning this game, but I'm glad I'm here. Like hoping people would subconsciously think I'm not going to win. So they would rate me high. But that's like, I don't know. I was playing my ass off in there and it didn't work out at times, but I was really trying my hardest with
that. I think that strategy could work with the right people in the finals. It just depends. Like if every single person's voting tactically,
Right.
That's a strategy that works. But when you get like half and half, when you get like
Yeah.
2 or 3 people voting with their heart or however they want to say it versus tactically, then
Right.
that really throws it off your
I
strategy.
mean, that's like how I fucked myself in the game. Like
Mhm.
after I got out and I was thinking like, oh, my strategy was flawed because exactly what you said, it required everyone to be thinking the same way I was thinking. And I didn't take that into account in there. But
Which you almost did though. I mean, in terms of like really strategic and tactical voting players in the circle, in the finale, your season had more, I think, than a lot. So
I agree with that. I agree with that.
close, but I think just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
The show's not quite there yet. But it
Yeah.
will be, I hope.
Almost.
I know.
In episode 9, you refer to Miles' mist. Who do you think has stronger mist, Miles or Dan Giesling from Big Brother?
Are you? Listen, if you asked me when I was in the circle, I would say Miles. But
Yeah.
Don't think we didn't clock the mist comment.
Oh
Don't
my
think
God.
we didn't.
Yeah, I know. Listen, poor Miles, because he really was just playing with his heart. But that was
I know.
not,
That was the best part.
not my perception.
It's like all these people on the internet are mad at you. We're just laughing over here. We think it's
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah, hilarious.
people really forget. I'm seeing a picture in words. Like I'm making a character in my head, but geez, when I watched that back, it was a little.
Oh, Alex Lake wants to know what mist is.
So what is mist? So mist is like when someone is. I was trying to think of something funny. Mist is literally just when you're fucking great with your words. Like that's how Miles was. Miles did have a mist, but it wasn't the mist that I thought it was. Right? I thought his mist was like strategic guy, like manipulating, but no, he was just being a nice fucking guy. And of course, I'm there trying to tear that apart.
Mist is kind of like the charm that somebody has over
Yes.
like a whole group in like a game and can like convince people to do like whatever they want, even though everybody knows what they're doing.
100%.
Yeah.
Have that. It didn't fucking work out for me.
Yeah. So I think your next rating, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. This is for who will be the influencer and have the secret ride or die. You put QT number 1, Autumn number 2, and Miles last.
Y'all want me to make myself look worse real quick on this podcast?
Sure.
I thought Miles knew I was coming for him because when we did the questions game, he had said something like, I've heard some people, and I'm not sure if it was in the edit, but he was like, whenever I asked him that question, he was like, I've heard some people are talking about me behind my back. Like, if you need to, clear it up, come talk to me. He was talking about Cassie, but in that moment, Cassie had already been gone because I asked him after the game. But I thought he was talking about me. So when I saw I was 6th in the ratings, I was like, fuck, Miles definitely knows I'm coming for him. And he had no fucking clue. But they did me a favor. They're not showing that.
This is one of my favorite moments when we in episode 10 we get to the we're going there game.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we see you get really annoyed with everybody playing safe and not attacking each other in these games. How frustrating was it for you how boring everybody was?
I mean, whenever I saw Olivia's question, Miles to Olivia, I was fucking livid. I was like, people, this is the one chance where you can, who cares if it's your ally? If you think they have a shot at winning, fucking drag them a little bit. I was so pissed. And then also I'm the only one that answered directly. I mean, it worked out because then Lord came to talk to me, but as just a huge super fan of these shows and also someone that just loves the drama, I wanted to see some messy shit on the one season I'm on.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and when it's anonymous, it's like, who cares? You gotta be mean. It's not only is it good TV, but also I don't think we've ever seen those cute little positive comments disrupt a game before. It's the anonymous nasty stuff that comes that will actually break alliances typically.
100%. And especially in a game like the Circle, that's the one opportunity you have to shake shit up. If you're trying to play a really good game, at least. I mean, I didn't give a fuck, but
yes.
I feel like everyone's answering so indirectly and giving BS answers, and it's just annoying.
That's exactly when you said that. I was like,
is
he's speaking the truth.
I mean, I really am a fan that got thrown into the TV at the end. Truly, I've watched these shows for so long. I was just there to have fun.
Yeah, it was just so
never-
succinct. It was like it said it so quickly.
We need a Jordan on every season. Really, truly.
Oh my god, I would love. I hope I get an opportunity again because I really feel like I would flourish more in an in-person game. Although if my circle reputation like precedes me, then who knows what would happen.
It's
but-
okay. Nobody watches this show. It's all right.
After this season, I'm aware.
Yeah.
I mean, it would help if they do more than one Instagram post. Come
They'd
on,
have to pay
people.
someone.
No comment.
Jeez, we'll do it for you. Christ.
All right. So QT becomes influencer and you become her secret co-influencer.
Yeah.
All right. Let's break that. What were your thoughts going into the chat?
Delusion. That's what was going through my head. I was like, I really thought I had a shot at taking out Miles, but I didn't care either at the end of the day because at this point in the game, I was like, shit, there's probably gonna be one more blocking. Like I said, I was there to win. I didn't care about getting to the next episode. So if I go out in the next blocking, that's fine. But I wanted to leave this being set up a little bit better than I was before. And I thought we had to come to an agreement. I mean, this hasn't happened before. How do you know any better? But going into that, delusion, 100% delusion.
Okay. So you get to the hangout. How fancy is it?
Oh, it's so fancy. Y'all, never mind. I walked in there. I thought the window was real. I thought the window was real that they filmed through. Like, no, it's a wall in a bedroom.
I think it used to be real.
Maybe
In
know.
when they were in Manchester.
Yeah.
It's definitely not real anymore.
Oh.
I noticed. I clocked that. I was like, this shit's not real.
Yeah, no. But no, that was so surreal. At that's the one moment in time where I felt like I was on TV. Because when you're in the apartment, you don't feel like you're on TV that much, like because there's no one there. But when I went in that, I was like, oh, this is like an actual thing that's about to be on the show, and I was freaking out.
That makes sense.
And
Yeah,
then I was like, oh, I'm about to have my moment. I'm about to have my moment.
I mean, you had
did.
a moment.
I had a moment. I got dragged.
You had QT's moment as well.
Alex Lake from season 1. Real room with window in Manchester. Verified.
Okay, wow.
Wow.
The Brits get everything, don't they?
Now they know.
All right. So what happened in this influencer chat? What's the tea?
Oh my god. So I remember when I went in there, I was really like certain. I was like, I think I'm gonna be able to pull this off. Like, I think I'm gonna be able to get Miles out. And then when I realized that wasn't happening, I remember when I said like, what was my message? It was something like, I have some news for you. I remember producer asked me like, what are you about to say? And I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna make some shit up. And then I completely felt it. I was like, Miles is playing you. He's playing everyone. Like, why didn't I do the flirting lie there? I don't know why I didn't do that there. I really should have. But we had that conversation for like 3 hours. We went from Miles to Kyle, and then we went to Olivia. And I was really like harping on Olivia for a second. And I was telling QT, I was like you're in a really good position right now, but you're in too much of a good position. I told her, I was like, it wouldn't hurt to get a little blood on your hands. Like, I was trying everything to get her to flip. And then she dragged me. She completely fucking dragged me. And when we left, I like remember telling people, like when we were like going back to my apartment, I was like, you know, as a fan, that is so fun. But as a fan right now, I would have been rooting QT on, and I would have been so happy that she dragged me.
So was Olivia your like number 2 in terms of who you wanted that night to go?
She was my number 3. But once I realized Miles and Kyle were out the door, I was like, Olivia is a great option here. I didn't want Lauren, even though I hadn't really talked to Lauren. I knew there was some like issues with Lauren with other people. A lot of people didn't trust her. So I always knew like I could get her to rate me high. And if I spilled a little information to her, Autumn had no one. She only had me. So those were the 2 that I was like, I really need. Olivia was playing that perfect middle game. And that's like really dangerous in the circle. So I was like, I thought that would help me get ahead.
Do you think QT made the right move here?
That's a really good question. I mean, in hindsight, like, no, she should have taken out Olivia. Like, Olivia won the game, right? But I think in that moment, I would have never agreed on Autumn. Like, we would have been in there for hours if she didn't leave the chat. So I do think she did what was best for her game. I think so. because I agree with her logic that Autumn would have tanked her at the end. I mean, I tanked her at the end too, but I really think Autumn would have tanked her at the end. So I think she did what was best for her in that moment.
Yeah. So we see you in episode 11. What was meeting Autumn like? I thought it was funny that you bluntly just told her immediately that you wanted her to be your shield.
Listen,
That's the first thing you said to her.
I watched that back and I was like, why did I say that? But it was like, for me, the way I was talking to these people is like if I'm playing Call of Duty. Like if I'm shooting you in the game, I'm like, fuck you, bitch. Like, and then the game's over and it's all done, right? So when Autumn came in my head, she was just like a piece of the puzzle. Like it was still hard to connect these people to real people.
But dude, she's
to be fair, Lauren made Autumn a pretty good shield for everybody.
100% she did.
I know. It's like you walk in, you're like, I just want to be a shield, okay?
Yeah, no, and I can't believe that.
I mean,
turn around
Lauren.
and walk out. But
I mean, blame Lauren, but we all have the same idea. I mean, you're a shield for everybody here.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that, but it's kind of funny.
that was very funny.
This is great.
We also see you very confused to learn that Lauren was Autumn's ride or die. That
like I said, that messed up everyone's like ride or die connections. Like how many pairs were there? I can't do quick math. Either way, 2 of the pairs for everyone were messed up because of Lauren throwing Autumn under the bus. It switched up 2 pairs, and I feel like if we would have known that, like, I don't know. I feel like if we knew that Paul was connected with Kyle, if that didn't get like messed up, I think they could have ended up staying. Because we thought Autumn was connected to Kyle. So I think that's part of the reason. Well, no, because Autumn was towards the bottom. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
So I feel like this is where things kind of change for your game. In the post-autumn goodbye message, you tell everyone flat out that QT is going to win and that Miles and QT are controlling the game.
Yes.
Can you walk us through this kind of gear shift?
Let's talk about my endgame strategy because it was not shown at all. So going in after my influencer chat, I was like, okay, QT knows everything about my game. She's about to spread it to everyone. How do I get ahead of this? So here's my strategy. It was a little complex. It was definitely chaotic, but my plan was, okay, I'm going to go into the influencer chat the next morning before QT can get to Kyle and Miles and tell them what I said. I'm going to call out QT and Miles. Miles, obviously my target. I knew there was no chance I was going to get QT out at this point, but I wanted people to start getting doubt in their heads about her before we got to the end game. So that was my goal with that. And then by doing that, I wanted Brandon, aka Olivia, Kyle, and Lauren to know I was safe with them. My whole strategy was I want to make myself the biggest target. That way people will drag me to the end thinking I have no shot at winning. And if enough people think I have no shot at winning, hopefully I would get enough high votes to get the win. So it was really chaotic. And it was the exact opposite of like the circle strategy. But at that point in the game, I felt like that's all I could do. Like I didn't think there was any way to try to win people back over. I had to do the opposite.
Yeah. I did feel like we sussed that out. That might not have been apparent to everyone, but I think that makes sense. That was probably your only shot because you came to the game so late. Yeah.
So how important was it to you to get rid of at least one of the members of Trace Fuego? Because I feel like that's a pretty crucial part of your strategy too. Yeah.
100%. I feel like no one had a shot with him there because Miles would have done QT Kyle. Kyle would have probably done QT Miles, and Miles would have done, and then QT could have, I don't know if she would have rated them 2 at the top. She might have been a little strategic with it. But I felt like no one had a shot with those 3 at the top because they were going to get enough high placements across the board where one of those 3 was going to get the win no matter what.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Because even someone like Olivia was probably going to rate some of them.
Oh, 100%. I mean, she rated QT at the top at the end. So imagine if like Miles was there as well.
Yeah.
In episode 11, we see you pitch to Kyle that Miles and QT will always rate each other above him, so he should rate you high so you can take Miles out. You basically pitched to him that you two could also be a duo.
Right.
But then this kind of leads to him basically taking your idea and forming a very solid bond with Olivia in episode 12. Did you see this? Did you foresee this happening at all?
No, 100% not. I wouldn't have thought it would have backfired like that, but I still stand by the fact that like I feel like that was the only route I had when it came to Kyle. Like,
yeah, I mean, you have to try something.
I would have gamed that any differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How could you have foreseen that they both had like deceased parents?
Right?
On that. I mean, that's kind of impossible.
I know. And no, there was no predicting that. But I did feel like leaving that conversation, because that's why I put Kyle first at the super secret influencer ratings, because I felt like it made the most sense to Kyle that he would need me at the end. And when it came to Olivia and Lauren, I thought Lauren wasn't going to get influencer. And I thought if Olivia did, she was playing the fuck out of me. Like, I thought she was playing pure emotion and no strategy. I was scared to put her at the top.
And so even after that meeting that you guys had, you thought she could still play you.
Still really unsure. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
was still really unsure because Lauren was like gun ho about it, but Olivia was still like, I'm not sure, because I don't know if it was in the edit or not. But Olivia had said like, it's really hard for me to think of people as players and not humans. She told us that in that group chat, and I was like, I remember yelling. I was like, I was so pissed. I was so pissed.
You yelling and pissed
the entire like show.
So we get to episode 12. You pitch to QT that you have no shot at winning, but you want to be in the end with her because she deserves to win. You tell her that the only other person who has a chance of winning is Olivia. So how can we make it so that QT wins? QT says to rate her third, and she will protect you if she can. So I guess we now know that you did feel that you might have some chance of winning.
Yeah.
And so how did this conversation like really go for you? What were you like hoping would happen?
I knew that like not much was going to come out of it, right? Like, but I knew that QT was a gamer, so she would at least consider what I was going to say. And my mindset right there was like, hey, if I can at least get her to think, that's like a 30% shot of her keeping me if she's an influencer rather than 0. So I was just trying to like build my odds up a little bit. And it did get her to think. Do I think if she was an influencer, she would have kept me? Absolutely not. But she was considering it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So Trace Fuego puts it together that you were kind of trying to turn them against each other, and so Distrust, and they decide to target you.
Yeah.
I guess you kind of knew this was a risk.
Oh, I called out Miles and QT and like the group chat. I don't know why that wasn't right there. They're like, okay, we're going after Jordan.
They put it together a long time later. They were like, do you know that Jordan might not like us?
Yeah.
Was it surprising that Kyle flipped so hard though, in terms of after your last conversation that you had with him?
I mean, yeah, because I really, really, really felt like what I was telling Kyle made so much sense. Like, that's why I rated him highest going into super secret influencer, because like I really thought it made so much sense for him.
Yeah.
Like, I thought like QT and Miles are in a known showmance. Sure, you're in a trio, but you're third in that showmance. Don't you want to separate from that? Like,
was he consciously playing like a middle game? Did you ever talk to him after the show? Like, was he trying to be middle going into that finale? Because it really felt like no matter which way he goes, whether he goes with your side or whether he goes with Trace Fuego going forward, he's gonna kind of be in the middle either way.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it looked to me.
I agree. Well, I had told Kyle in our conversation that I would put him first. I wasn't going to, but I had told him that I would if he like kept me at the end. But I don't know. That's an interesting point. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him about that.
My vibe was just that Kyle just didn't like you. Do you know what I'm talking about? And he's just like, I don't like
He
him.
did it. Yeah.
Well, especially after that conversation he had with QT and Miles, where they sort of hyped that up a little bit.
Well, right, but it was even from the beginning. Like, he was upset that I didn't accept his like chat. I think that's where it all started. I'm like,
after that, he was just like, I don't like this guy. I don't want to talk to him.
He's a sensitive guy, you know.
Yeah.
You don't accept his chat, he's gonna be upset.
I think it's just like, it depends on the type of player you are. Like, if you were like a hardcore gamer, you wouldn't have been offended by that because you're like, oh, I'll talk later. But I think like when it comes to like Miles and especially like Kyle, like they were really like for the most part playing with their hearts. And I don't know if they have a background in like watching. Like, I know Miles has never seen like Survivor or Big Brother or anything like that, so it checks out for him and it makes total sense. I don't know about Kyle though.
Well, this is where really coming in at the beginning is such a huge advantage, just because
right,
you know which things to do and not do with certain people by the time.
It's a completely different game at the beginning.
Okay, so we get to what you called, and I quote, an iconic group chat with Lauren and Olivia, where you finally get something going and get them on board with targeting Miles.
Yes.
Talk us through it. What happened?
So this was like my final Hail Mary, I felt like after I talked to Kyle, like, sure, I really thought he was on the same page as me. but I felt like this really, really, really made sense because I thought everyone was aware that they were a trio. I don't know how everyone wasn't aware that they were a trio. So I think even like
You're surprised Lauren wasn't aware that they were a trio?
yeah, well, I think even Olivia was like, no, I don't think so. Because that's why in the finale, I look at Olivia and I was like, I told you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
after I left that conversation, like I spilled it out like as clear as day. And after I left that conversation, I really wasn't sure if it was gonna work. I was really unsure because Olivia was playing the perfect catfish where I thought she was being totally emotional. Like 100%, that's it. Which in hindsight, like if you think about it from like a casting perspective, I should have known that Olivia was a catfish, right? But you're not thinking about that in there because it's this pretty girl and she's just being sweet and nice and no like strategy at all. Like I should have been able to put two and two together that it was probably a catfish, and that would have changed my
But
perception.
even then, perception is everything. And if everybody in the circle really thinks that Olivia's playing with her heart, then that's what they're gonna do.
100%. So when I left that, I was really still uneasy. Like I was not sure if that went well or not. But I did feel like I spelled it out as clear as I could.
So we just walked through like a lot of things you did in the end game.
Yeah.
Were there any conversations that we didn't see, or do you feel that they really represented like the million different things that you tried? Because we saw like a lot of your scenes.
Yeah, no, I think they aired every single one of my conversations.
Wow.
I think the only conversations they didn't air throughout the whole season was like, I had a conversation with Autumn where we just kind of like talked about our family and stuff, and that didn't air. And I think that's the only one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get to the ratings for the super secret influencer.
Yep.
We see that you rated Kyle number 1. You talked to us about that. We see you rated Miles number 4 because you say you exploded his game.
I felt like I did. No.
Yeah, no, you did.
No.
You did.
You did.
I mean, I did, but I didn't. I exploded his game and the perception that I like saw in my head, but I didn't realize that he was really just playing with his heart. But I still stand by that he was my biggest threat. He would have won the game if like if I went out in that round, I really think it would have been him or QT. But
in a big alliance like Tres Fuego, you gotta get rid of the Fuego.
100%.
You gotta get rid of the Joey. You got like you just have to.
Yeah. But rating Kyle first, I can't believe I did that when I watched it back. But Kyle played me. Like I really thought we were cool.
Yeah. Well, it was that was your best shot too.
I agree.
Was trying to go after Kyle from Fuego, and
you rate QT last. You say she's a player and you're terrified.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She was frightening. Like she is like one of the best players in the circle history, 100%.
Yeah,
and I saw that. Like me and QT were playing very similar games, but her reads were better. Like she had way better reads than I did, and she was able to like build those core bonds at the beginning so she could play behind the scenes, where I came in the middle and just had to fuck shit up in public. But she was my biggest threat in the game, not Miles. I just couldn't do anything about it. We were linked like together for 2 of the blockings.
It seemed like Olivia thought the same thing too, especially towards the end. It was like, Miles is a threat, but QT is the threat.
Yeah, that's why I'm interested. Why? I mean, thank God it worked out in Brandon's favor, but I am curious why he went with Miles and not QT in the final blocking.
Yeah, he had mentioned something in the edit about I think QT might still rate me somewhat high. And if I get rid of Miles, that's getting rid of someone who's definitely rating QT 1.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think he was still thinking about his overall score, but I'd love to ask him too.
Oh, you know what? Actually, when we were in LA this past weekend, apparently they had like a really like good conversation where they were connecting like emotionally that wasn't aired. So you'll have to ask them about that.
Oh,
they did mention that to us.
Wait, so who was having this?
Brandon and QT apparently had like a conversation in that last stretch before that final blocking that wasn't shown.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I think you and QT had some interesting parallels. The first one was kind of funny. So she was calling herself the Puppet Master, and you called yourself the Puppet Master when you entered the circle hangout, I clocked, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
That you both called yourself that. The second is you both made, you said you made an error voting Kyle number 1. in this final rating, and QT made this really bad flaw, voting Miles number 3 in this. Do you think she would have been the influencer if she had, or no? Do you think she said this was such an error? Do you think Miles would have been the influencer if she'd rated him higher, or Olivia wouldn't have been?
That's a good question. I don't know. I would have to hear everyone else's ratings because I know specifically for me, I did Kyle, Lauren, Olivia, QT, Miles, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, QT rated Olivia number 1 too, which was obviously a mistake.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I do think that one of the Trust Figos would have probably been empowered. 100%.
Yeah. So enter the finale. You learn that Miles has been blocked.
I did something.
One word. What are you feeling? One word.
Dude, I was terrified in that blocking. Terrified. So it was like, thank God. Like, bro, can you imagine how embarrassing that would be? Me as a super fan going on this show and I'm going for this guy this entire time and then I don't get him out and I get blocked. I would have deleted my Twitter account, never talked about a reality show ever again.
I mean, that's what Stephen Fishbach did in Survivor, and he still did know-it-alls after.
Jordan, we have a listener comment from MK. Jordan, you and your boyfriend are super cute. Your boyfriend showed you have a heart. You're not the Tin Man after all, Jordan.
You're not the Tin Man.
So many comments that are like, Jordan's boyfriend was like redeeming quality. I'm like, please fucking remember I'm on a TV show. Like, this is not real life.
Everyone in the United States says your boyfriend's hot. Everyone's like, Jordan's boyfriend's so cute.
It's nice to know you're not a soulless monster, Jordan.
Yeah, because your boyfriend's hot.
Yeah, what? How does that even make sense?
His boyfriend's hot. He must be okay.
Yeah. I never even thought about it like that. Jesus.
So you seem to think that Miles got blocked because of you. But I read an interview on parade.com from Brandon, and he said that the reason it happened was because he was avenging Cassie. Have you heard about this? Did Brandon mention this?
But to avenge Cassie, you'd have to take Cassie out because Cassie voted herself out.
Shut it up.
I don't understand. Very confused.
I don't know. I haven't heard that. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
that's what he said. We'll have to ask Brandon about this.
Absolutely.
But he said, he was like, it wasn't even about the conversation. I was avenging Cassie. And I was like, well, that's a weird. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. Did you clock that Olivia was the only person that didn't thank the super secret influencer like Kyle did?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I did. It's been so long now, but when I watched that back, at least, I do feel like I remember saying something about that. I don't remember what I said. Because in that last chat, I was still gaming. They weren't showing it, but the whole time I was like, I have no shot at winning. Like, hopefully people will rate me high. So I'm not sure, but I think so. And if I didn't, I'm a fucking idiot after watching that back. I should have definitely clocked that. So I'm not sure.
What % chance did you think you had at winning going into the final ratings?
I thought I had a decent shot. Yeah. But once again, that was me like thinking everyone was playing the same way I was. Like, I rated strategically. Like, I rated least likely to most likely to win from like first to fourth. And I thought if other people did that, if I had enough like twos, I could have a shot at winning.
All right. So walk us through your final ratings.
Okay. I did, bless her heart, love her so much. I spent all weekend with her. But I did Lauren first because I just truly felt like enough. I did Lauren first because I really felt like she had no shot at winning. I thought she had made enough enemies, wasn't really being that strategic. And yeah. So interesting. At first I had put Kyle in second. And then I changed it because in my group chat with Olivia and Lauren, I think it was Olivia had said something like, well, no, I don't think they're in a trio. Like, Kyle doesn't really like Miles that much. I don't think they're that close. And then that showed me that like, oh, Kyle and Olivia must be connected pretty well. So that made me realize like Kyle was more connected than I thought he was, at least outright. So last minute, I put Olivia in second and Kyle in third. And then QT, I had to put her in fourth. Like, I really, like, if it wasn't me, I wanted her to win at that moment in time. But I wasn't going to give up until the game was done.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Was there anyone you thought that if they rated more tactically, it would have boosted you pretty high in the ratings? Anyone in particular?
Yeah, Olivia. Because Olivia kind of had that mindset in the Super Secret Influencer. She put me up top because she thought I had no shot at getting it. And I think if she would have done that in the final ratings, it would have boosted me. Do I think I would have won? Probably not. But I think I could have landed in like a 2 spot, like after watching it back.
Yeah, Brandon said also in his parade interview that he rated you last because you came into the circle last, and he felt that other people kind of deserved it more.
Oh,
what do you think about that?
Valid.
Okay.
I mean, no, I do think that like I mean, he won you can't really criticize his game because he won the game. Right?
No, I agree.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
If he would have put me on top, that would have probably shifted everything. So he did what was best for him.
No, I mean everything he did. Yeah, he shouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, the parade interview that he did really confused me.
I need to watch. I haven't read it.
Just I don't like all these like super strategic moves. All of a sudden, look like he's like talking about Cassie for revenge and playing more by your heart, and he wanted you out because you came in last, and I'm like, oh, this is like really different from the edit.
Well, hey, it worked out for him, so pop off.
It did. It did. Yeah, I think he's a very deserving winner.
Oh, 100% same. He played the perfect like middle game. And I think that is how you win the circle for the most part. At least how the game's still being played right now is you have to hit that middle. If you're in power too much, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Unless you're Frank. He is the only person to know.
Yeah, then you're immune to that stuff.
Yeah. Then everybody
just loves you and wants you to win.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
He broke the circle.
If you ever go on, this is for future players. If you ever go on the circle, catfish as Frank.
Oh god, I'm interested to see how the circle, like, if there are more seasons, like, because 7 filmed right after us, like that's already done. But I'm interested to see how our season kind of shapes the way people play the circle. I hope we enter into like a new era a little bit where it's a lot more like game bot and strategic. I mean, obviously you need to throw in like the people that play like the earlier seasons, but I'm interested to see how it shifts the game.
I definitely think the edit shifted that way more, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
Like I definitely think they were like trying to push the strategy aspect more.
Right. I agree.
That's a good start.
100%. I'm interested to see 7. I've heard some things. I'm not gonna say.
Did 7 film immediately after yours? Was it about
like a week out? Like a week after.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be some really cool things that happen, and I'm interested to see how it's gamed.
Awesome.
Yes, we have Alex in the chase. Says, Jordan, would you come back for an all-star season?
Oh, 100%. And I would catfish as Brandon.
Yes.
It would be so cool if it was like all-stars, but you have to catfish. Everyone has catfish as a different player from the circle.
That would be a fun twist.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to do like House of Villains.
Everybody goes in as Shuby, and then
House of Villains. You'd be fun on that.
Like,
yeah.
Shuby, like a different picture.
Every single person is Shuby, and you have to figure out who the real Shuby is.
Ooh. Shuby is not what I expected in real life. Man's a partier. I didn't know.
Oh, he is. Instantly, I met him. He wanted to chug the drinks we were holding. He was like, "We gotta do a shot later. We gotta do a shot."
I know. He was like, "Shot." I'm like, "Shoob, what's going on here?"
They do things different at UCLA.
That's so good.
Yeah, he's a fucking party animal. That Shuby.
Oh my god, I'm effed.
He was effed up, Shuby.
Yeah, no, he's a lot of fun.
Alex had also asked earlier, this is a good question. Are you happy with your edit? And what are you grateful for that didn't make the air?
What am I grateful that didn't make the air? Would I expose myself that I thought?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I'm transparent. Am I happy with my edit? Yeah, I mean, I do feel like they kind of like took out some of the moments that made me like perceived as more of a human to the audience. But honestly, I didn't play for the audience, and I think that's very apparent for how I played the game. I wasn't thinking about perception at all. I was there to play for myself, and at the end of the day, that's what I did. Do I wish there was a little more context to things? Sure. But like at the end of the day, I know what happened and that's all I care about.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you meet everybody. Is there anything we didn't see from this that you wish had aired or we should have seen when you all met each other for the finale?
Honestly, they showed most of it. There was this one part where I was like asked like, "What's the biggest lie that I told the circle?" And I'm so glad I didn't make the air. Here I am again exposing myself. But I was like, Miles, my bad. I told everyone that you were flirting with me," and I laughed, and no one else laughed. And I was like,
"Oh no!"
I was like, "No, this is bad." But we cleared it up later on, like later in the night. But I was like, I hope they don't show that because I felt so awkward on stage when that happened.
What was it like not meeting Michelle?
It was weird. It was like when we were there, it felt very uncomfortable because we were all kind of like talking over each other. And thank God it like ended up how it did. But I remember when I was in holding to like go in, they said Michelle wasn't going to be there. I didn't know she was going to be there until literally like 20 minutes before going in.
They were like hoping the strikes would end like
Right.
at any moment during filming.
Yeah. But I do like the way it looked in the edit. But when we were there filming it, it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you guys had to create all the energy yourselves. You
100%, yeah.
Driving it. Yeah.
And kind of like figuring out where to take the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
How bummed were you with fourth? Tell us about the turmoil, the sadness, the sleepless nights, all that stuff.
I worked my ass off. And to get fourth was devastating. I'll never show my face again. No, but when Brandon walked out on stage, like the game's not about being the best catfish, but like I felt like it was game over the second he walked out on stage. I was like, oh, it's done. Just because I had felt so played and seeing everyone else's reaction, I was like, oh, he's been playing the fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, he really fucking did it.
He's a really good winner.
Really
Yeah.
solid. Yeah.
I feel like they always talk about how bronze medalists are like the saddest because like or do they say second place is the worst? Never mind. I felt like you could really see how disappointed QT was because she felt like she was either going to get last, and then when she got in the top 3, she felt like she had a chance. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yo, I would have been pissed if I would have got second, like especially with how I played the game. I would have really thought I was gonna win. I would have had that delusion.
Yeah, it's almost easier the
100%.
lower you are. Yeah.
I agree with that.
I feel like what we've said Matt Papadilla probably had the closest chance of winning.
Yeah. I wonder how they deal with like ties in the circle. Cause like I feel like there has to be like a scenario where because I assume how they do it is it's like if you're in first, you get X amount of points and like 1 point less each time. So I wonder what would happen if like the first players, like the top 2 were tied for first. How would they break that tie?
I bet they have no game plan, and they would just be like, "Oh, there's a they'll split the money."
Like, yeah, that's. I wonder, like, what they do based off who had the most first place ratings in the final rating.
They'd pull a QT and they'd just end chat and they'd end the show early.
The show just ends.
Yeah, they did the credits before the
the
final vote is revealed.
The AI bot gets the money.
Yeah, yeah.
They bring Max out.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed you didn't get to meet Max the AI?
Oh my god, no! But I was like picking up on something in the fucking circle because my second day in the circle, and I really thought this was gonna make the air. I woke up one morning and I was like, Miles's bio says that he's an AI engineer. What if he's AI? And I had no clue that had happened earlier.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So, and I remember them asking me like, "Wait, can you say that again?" I was like, "I wonder if Miles is AI." So I was really shocked I didn't make the show.
That is crazy.
I guess I'm taking Steffi's job. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So Jordan, what's going on in do you have anything else you want to tell us about your time in the circle? Anything else? I feel like we covered a lot of great ground though today. Do you feel like you've cleared up your time? Do you feel like you've cleared your reputation?
Listen, people are gonna think what they want. That's the one thing is like once one's mind is made up on you, they're not gonna change their mind. That's why I've just been having fun and poking fun on social media. But no, at the end of the day, I truly do not regret anything I did in the circle. I had a blast there. I had a blast doing it. And I did what I had to do at the end of the day. Did I get the win? No, but I still had a lot of fun. And yeah, no,
For what it's worth, Max and I really enjoyed your style of gameplay. We thought you were great casting. We hope they cast people like you in the future. So what it matters what we think, because
Yeah,
we're
we're the only people that matter.
we're
the
experts on
opinions I care about are the people that like know the game and get it.
it. Good.
No offense to everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Fuck you. Like you've been crazy to me. Full offense.
Yes. Don't be afraid to say it.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you now, Jordan? How's life now post Circle?
Listen, people have been talking a lot of shit, but honestly, I'm here for it. Like, it's kind of fun. Like, some of the comments are hilarious and some of the memes they have made. But I hope that like I get a shot on another show one day to just like an in-person show. I feel like I would game that so differently. Like the Traders, I mean, they cast like A-list people, so that won't happen to like Traders fucking 42. But I would love to do the Traders one day. House of Villains would be so fun. Could I buck up to Tiffany Pollard in real life? Probably not, but I would love
To be in her presence, though.
Yeah, I know.
I would pay for that. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, no, I just hope I can play another game one day that's in person. That's what I want.
Well, I hear some of the Circle casting people moved over to Big Brother. So,
That's never gonna happen. Listen,
you never
Brother,
know. You never know.
Who have they had? Sari, Icon, and then they had Jackie and Jeff on 17, which was I didn't watch The Amazing Race, so for me that felt random. But
Yeah. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
Maybe you try and get on God 101 first, and then that's your
Yeah, you gotta get on
pipeline.
God 101,
That's your
bro.
pipeline
first-
to get on to Big Brother.
God. Yeah,
You have to bring strategy to God 101.
Yeah.
me trying to manipulate Julie Chen into getting me on the show during God.
This is the way. This is the way to her heart. It's through God.
Yeah,
That's
just
the only
post
way.
random Bible verse and be like, Julie, you know what you're doing.
I love watching those the next day and just watching people that like when she's like so do you go to church all the time? And
Yeah.
they just like
Mhm.
stop for a second. They're like, yeah.
Well, I'm so interested. Like some people that go on, I'm like, did you know what you were doing, or were you just like, this is an interview with Julie?
Really
Chen?
seems like they didn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Seemed like they were going on a show with Julie Chen, and then all of a sudden they gotta like talk Bible verses and stuff.
I know. I'm really confused sometimes, but
Yeah.
hey, call me. I'll go on God.
No such thing as bad press, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Right,
Jordan
Gotta
Articles?
gotta call your manager, get booked on God 101. Oh,
There, can you imagine? There was an article that was literally about how me and Caress, the contestants from Texas, are the most hated, and I'm like, well, shout out for the interview, I guess.
jeez.
Yeah.
No.
Well, Jordan, where can people find you online so they can say nice things about you?
You can find me everywhere at Obsessed with Miles. And no, you can find me at It's Jordan Staff. You'll see a lot of comments saying Obsessed with Miles, so pop off. If you want to come leave a hate comment, do it under my page, not on Twitter. That way I see it directly. But yeah, everywhere at It's Jordan Staff.
Well, we have had a lot of fun with you today. For everyone else, we're going to have some more exit interviews this week. We've talked to a lot of the finalists. We don't have any set times yet, but everything is in the works. So be sure to follow us at youtube.com/Reality Alert. We are on all podcasting platforms, on social media at Reality Alert Podcast, and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Reality Alert. There you can check out our coverage of the Circle Season 1. It starts at only $5 a month. And starting this week, we are covering the Ultimatum Queer Love. Lots of great stuff on there. Ben, anything else today?
No, that's it. You summed it up. Thank you,
Awesome.
Jordan, for
Thanks
coming
for
on the
having
show.
me.
We really
It's so
appreciate
fun.
it.
Hell
It's so
yeah.
much fun.
Awesome.
Hopefully
All
we'll
right.
talk again about something else.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
It's the place you go when you finish your show. We're your two best friends. Our names are Max and Ben. We're self-proclaimed television experts. It's Reality Alert.